What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Alex here. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for joining. Thanks for all this stuff. 2023 is wrapping up, so we're doing another sort of 2023 in review sort of video. This one is all about my 10 favorite, let's call them acquisitions of the year. This video is less about things that were released this year. I don't think anything was released this year. But things like, vinyl finds or things that emotionally mean a lot or collectible, that type of stuff. So if you're like a record nerd and you're like into like the pressings, all that kind of stuff, this is the video for you. Or if you don't really care about any of that and you're just a good person who likes to support me and my channel, well, this video is also for you. So cheers. First off, it's Saturday night. This will not be the first. Let me rephrase that. This will not be the last, but it is the first. But nothing fancy. Ye old Jenny Cream Ale. You gotta drink this stuff icy cold or it's gonna be not good. Still icy cold, it's not very good either. But these are pint cans, and I think with a state minimum, I wanna say like a 6-pack tall boys of Jenny Cream is like $4.99. In this economy, in this inflation, come on. We need more money for records and dumb shit like that so we can spend less on beer and drink cheap for a while. So we're gonna dive in. Hope this video is not too long. But yeah, let's talk about my 10 favorite acquisitions. Again, there's a lot of cool collectible type stuff in here. I myself, none of these I bought online or like from a seller. They were all things that were like special releases or whatever that I was able to get a hold of, or things that I found, digging through crates or in the record store or those types of things. So, there's no such thing as like a rare record anymore. There's only expensive records. And so some of these are worth a little bit more, but I don't like paying too much for records. So I will say I got like a good deal, and I'll talk about that when I get to those. So no real particular order, but number one is number one because it has such a sentimental sort of piece value to it for me. But kind of all over the map here, so let's roll in. So number 10, a band that has become the kings of collectibles and like the ongoing, just capitalization of everybody's passion towards them. And they're on like their final farewell tour of like 9 million different things. I'm talking about Kiss. Now, I do like Kiss. My favorite Kiss record is actually the debut, but my second favorite Kiss record is many years later. It's Creatures of the Night. Now, this is a tough Kiss record to find in the grand scheme of things. Now, I was able to find this. The cover is in pretty poor condition, but the disc is in good shape. But 1982, a lot going on with the band at this point. Who's even playing on here? Who knows? Ace isn't playing on here, but he's credited as playing on here. And again, this is a difficult record-ish to find in the Kiss catalog, but what was cool was finding this and then just a couple of weeks later finding the 1985 reissue with a different cover here. So this is reissued, different cover. This one has Bruce Kulick on it, which is funny because he's not actually on the record, but he's on the cover because it was reissued when he was in the band. I think, was it Benny Vincent who actually played guitar on there? Ace Frehley's credited, but he didn't actually play on it. I'm sure some Kiss nerds will jump in and tell me. But yeah, this was cool enough to find this. Again, not in great shape, but I don't care. The record's in good shape. But I never had seen this one out there, this sort of cooler 1985 reissue of Creatures, different album cover. What's great is both of these guys aren't even playing in the damn album, some of them. So I love that. But yeah, that's number 10. Both those sort of issues of Creatures of the Night, awesome stuff. This next one, I will say right off the bat, this is not a first press. The first presses are multiple hundreds of dollars and not really my thing to go after. But I don't want to say settle because that settle sort of implies a sense of disappointment. And this is not a disappointment because I got a really great deal on this. A polarizing album, but one that I enjoy. And granted, that's because I'm very open. And I also love like avant-garde, free jazz type stuff too. So for me, this was not that difficult of a listen. And it was one of those records I just always wanted. But I'm talking about Mask Replica from Captain Beefheart 1969. Now, again, this is not the first press, but what it is the second press. So the second presses still were on that sort of classic, per se, would you say? Pink Straight label. So, of course, produced by Frank Zappa on the straight label. And then after this, I believe all the reissues went to, I want to say Reprise. But for me, it was cool of like, you know what? Yeah, I probably won't get a first press. At least I'm not going to pay for one. But I'll definitely take a second press. And again, the price is really great. Obviously, the ringware is there. But again, I don't care. The records are in solid shape. But yeah, this is some out there stuff. But I'm into it. And this was like such a cool find this year to have an original but not first sort of pressing of this, the second pressing of it. This next one, it's for all the, again, not to say nerds. I say nerds with such like a level of, respect and appreciation because I'm right there with you. But I love the band ZZ Top. There's a lot of stories about sort of where Billy Gibbons came from. He was in a band called the Moving Sidewalks. But what we don't hear as much about is when that band was going through their stuff and Billy was breaking away to do his own thing. He obviously met up with Frank Beard and Dusty Hill. And what a lot of people don't know is that Frank Beard and Dusty Hill were also in a band together down in Texas, a psychedelic blues band, sort of influenced in the similar way as the 13th Floor Elevators. But that band was called American Blues. Yes, American Blues was the actual name of the band, and that's what they played. And this is called Do Their Thing. This was their second record, released in 1968. So just, less than a year later, they would break off and form ZZ Top in 69. This is on the Uni label, but this is a really cool, rare record that I've never saw before, and I saw the story of it, and I was like, dang, and then I saw it in one of the local shops and bought it. Other thing, too, that I love is it is a stamped sort of promotional, not for sale copy, which is awesome. But, this is good stuff. It is Texas psychedelic blues and sort of proto ZZ Top, which is awesome. So, yeah, that's number, 8. American Blues, Do Their Thing. This next one was sort of the jazz find of the year. Big jazz fan, and when it comes to jazz music, I would say 99% of the stuff I buy are the current reissues because now is the best time to get into jazz in terms of accessibility. You can buy these audiophile reissues for $15, $20, $25, $40, whatever it is, sort of all over the place, and you can really tiptoe and get into what you want to. But when I was going through the vinyl garage, my friend's dad's garage, and thumbing through some stuff, I saw this and I wanted to get it really bad. He got me a great deal on it, which was great. But it's Night in Tunisia from Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, 1961. So this is Blue Note 4049, mono first press. And who's on here again? Lee Morgan, amazing. Wayne Shorter, the best. Bobby Timmons, outstanding. Jimmy Merritt, and of course Art Blakey on drums. But to have sort of that original Blue Note record is just something I've always wanted, and I hope to have more of, but they're just so expensive usually, so that was just such a great find. This next one actually came from the same place, the Vinyl Garage. I'll link that video of my sort of haul from there, a couple of months ago at this point. But this was great because not only is this a really rare record, it's a white label promo, which I love and kind of makes, adds a little bit of pizzazz to it. But it's also a record I've always wanted, was always really interested in listening to, and it blew me away and I loved it. And I'm talking about Gene Clark's No Other from 1974. Again, that white label promo there. But got this as well from the Vinyl Garage, and I love this album a lot. And I just, again, from the collector standpoint, just love the promos, and just an outstanding record, and I love it. These next two, it's kind of number 5, it's kind of a bit of a double shot because it's the same band. For those here in the States who collect or try to collect original pressings of some of the older classic bands from the 60s, you probably know one of the hardest bands to find originals of is the Kinks, especially during that period of 66 to really 70 or so, right? Like you rarely see Village Green out there or something else by the Kinks. Lola, you don't see that much either. But I found both of these when I was visiting my brother down in the Austin, Texas area. And these were both original US presses, and I snagged them. The prices were really actually pretty low considering what they usually are. And that's the first original of Kinks Village Green Preservation Society on that 2-tone reprise. And then Something Else by the Kinks, which I was having a conversation. I don't know if I would actually call this my favorite, but I do. One of my favorite songs of all time is Waterloo Sunset, which is on this record, and I think that song carries it. Could very well carry it to the greatest record of all time, just because that song. I'm just kidding, but I love that song. And of course, that classic that tricolor reprise label. So yeah, usually I see these, if these are quote unquote in the wild somewhere, they're usually over like $100-$150. Same with this. I usually see this one up around the $80 to $100 range. And I want to say I got both of these for less than, I think combined, it was like less than $100. So like, yeah, I snagged those right away. And that sort of completes the early mid-career Kinks discography for me. And still just overjoyed to have those, because I actually had never seen them before that point, and I haven't seen them out since, unless, of course, they had a crazy price tag on them. This next artist or record is a band I've always heard of. They're sort of local Ohio legends, per se. Something I've really wanted to get kind of into more is studying up on some of the early 70s hard rock that was local to Ohio that never really blew up on an international or even more national stage, but something that a lot of people from Ohio know. And I had heard about this band and that they were a killer early 70s, mid 70s power pop band, and that's Blue Ash. This is No More, No Less. This came out in 1973 on Mercury. Yeah, this is just some killer hard rock power pop. And I mean, I've talked a lot about the power pop resurgence going on right now, but this is mandatory power pop for me. Absolutely outstanding. Again, not the easiest record to find. Got a good deal on that because it's got some water damage there, which, again, I got no qualms with it. But Blue Ash, outstanding killer band from Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah, this was just a cool find, and yeah, I spin this all the time. This next one was the only kind of real new-ish, I guess, record. I have ebbed and flowed over the last couple of years about when I quote-unquote invest, buy audiophile records, right? Whether it's like a MoFi thing or a analog productions, all that type of stuff. I love those records. I just have a hard time justifying the price for the type of listener I am and the type of equipment I have and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I've kind of said, okay, if it's one of my favorite albums of all time, I want the best version of it. And so when this came out, I knew I wanted it. And that's the MoFi or original master recording of Excitable Boy from Warren Zevon. Warren Zevon is one of my all-time favorite artists, and this is one of my all-time favorite records. I love this one, and I love the one that came before this, his self-titled on, what's the label? Asylum? Yeah. I love this record a lot. To me, this is a perfect record, with the exception of Nighttime in the Switching Yard, which is sort of just a random throwaway disco song. But for me, one of my favorite albums. I wanted one of my favorite albums in the best sort of quality it could come in, and therefore, that's why I wanted this one. So yeah, Excitable Boy, Warren Zevon. It's got the Werewolves of London, but you can push that aside. Lawyers, Guns, and Money is perfect rock and roll song. Rollin' the Headless Thompson Gunner is some of the best storytelling and songwriting of all time. So much good stuff on this record. Yeah. This next one has a little bit of sort of sentimental storytelling, whatever. I've told the story a couple times. When I was in high school, I was in a band, and sort of our like rock and roll claim to fame. It's by no means a claim to fame, but we were like 19 at the time. And we got to open for the Michael Schenker group. Coolest stuff ever, right? And so from then I was like, I got to become a huge Michael Schenker fan. And of course, I knew him from his solo stuff and obviously all the stuff he did with UFO. But then I was always told, yeah, but you know he's on that first Scorpions record. And I'd always just kind of said, yeah, but that record sucks, right? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't suck. I have found myself loving that record more and more and more. And so several, I guess, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, I found this. This is sort of one of the Lonesome Crow reissues that a lot of people have. I think this came from Europe. It's got like the, the sticker on there featuring Michael Schenker of UFO, sort of capitalizing on that fame. And I love this record, and he's ripping on it. And I think he's 15 when he's on this record. And so I had this for a while, but actually it was just a couple weeks ago. I was in a local shop, and they had a genuine, actual U.S. first pressing of it on that, Brain or Billingsgate Brain was the reissue on Billingsgate, which is a label out of Chicago. So yeah, to find sort of a genuine first US pressing of this, you know, slightly different coloration, as you can see. But cool, right? When people talk about why you would have multiple copies of the same record, this is what they're talking about. So yeah, huge Michael Schenker fan. It's crazy that he was like 15 when he was doing this type of stuff. And this is actually a really strong record. And to me, I prefer this type of stuff a lot more than sort of like the mega arena Scorpions of the 80s. Yeah, so that's number 2. And number 1, again, I said it was a little bit more sentimental. This is a huge shout out and dedication to Rob up at Northern Revolutions. I've had the conversation with him a couple different times. If it wasn't for Rob, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. This has been something I had been considering, gosh, for a year or so. And finally, him and I came to an agreement where he sort of was going to send me a record that was signed. And I said, if you send me that record and it's my first quote unquote VCLT, I will make a video about it. And so he said, deal, and he sent it. And so it is sort of paired with a record of today as well. But that was him sending me a signed copy of the debut LP from Dirty Honey. And of course, the other one that comes right with it, I was able to pick up a couple weeks ago too. Both of them signed. This is Can't Find the Breaks, just came out a few weeks ago. But yeah, this was the coolest thing. And again, sort of the sentimental, symbolic aspect of it is that Rob literally got me to start the YouTube channel and start making videos and start doing this stupid thing. So yeah, shout out to you, Rob. You're the best, man. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for this. And this is by far the best acquisition of the year. So thanks so much for that. Cool. Nearing the end here, 16 and a half minutes. Appreciate you all watching. Hope everybody has a great new year. 2024 is healthy and fun and safe and enjoyable for all of you. And yeah, looking forward to it on this end. And yeah, cheers, everybody. Be good.